If you are the kind of person who has always asked yourself questions like, why are some people wealthy, successful, and constantly growing, while others struggle, live in stress, and never seem to move forward, then this is your moment. You are not here by accident. Something inside you has been searching, questioning, trying to understand what others seem to figure out so easily. And maybe, at some point, you started to believe that life is simply unfair. That some people are lucky and others are not. That some are born for success and others are destined to fight for every small result. But what if everything you believed about this is incomplete? What if the difference between those who live in abundance and those who remain in struggle is not outside, but inside the mind? Take a moment and imagine two people waking up in the same city, on the same morning. They have access to the same streets, the same economy, the same opportunities. One of them sees possibilities everywhere. Every interaction is a potential connection. Every challenge is a lesson. Every risk is a doorway. The other sees problems, competition, fear, uncertainty, risk. They hesitate, overthink, and delay action. At the end of the day, their lives begin to separate more and more, even though nothing external has fundamentally changed. The difference is not luck. It is not talent. It is not even intelligence. The difference is how their brain processes reality. Your brain is not just a passive observer. It is an active creator of your experience. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, your brain is interpreting everything you see, hear, and feel. It decides what is important and what is not. It creates meaning. It builds patterns. And most importantly, it tries to predict what will happen next based on what has already happened before. This predictive nature of the brain has been studied deeply in modern psychology and behavioral science. Researchers like Daniel Kahneman demonstrated that most of our decisions are not conscious, rational choices. Instead, they are fast, automatic responses driven by patterns stored in the brain. These patterns are built over years, through repetition, emotions, and experiences. Think about that for a moment. If your brain is constantly predicting your future based on your past, then unless something changes, your future will look very similar to your past. This is why many people feel stuck. Not because they lack opportunities, but because their internal system keeps recreating the same outcomes. Your brain is designed for efficiency. It does not want to waste energy analyzing every situation from scratch. So it creates shortcuts, known as mental patterns. These patterns allow you to react quickly, but they also trap you in repetition. If you have experienced financial stress in the past, your brain becomes sensitive to risk. It starts avoiding situations that could actually lead to growth, simply because they feel uncertain. If you have experienced failure, your brain begins to associate new attempts with pain, even before you try again. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to live in a smaller version of your potential. There is a deeper layer to this process, something that operates silently in the background of your mind. It is a filtering system that decides what enters your awareness and what remains invisible. This system is known as the reticular activating system, or RAS. Imagine your brain as a massive control center receiving millions of signals every second. Sounds, images, conversations, movements, internal thoughts. Without a filter, you would be overwhelmed instantly. So the RAS acts like a gatekeeper. It selects what is relevant based on your beliefs, your focus, and your priorities. If you believe that opportunities are rare, your brain will filter out many possibilities because they do not match your belief. If you believe that money is difficult to earn, your brain will highlight every difficulty and ignore potential solutions. On the other hand, if you begin to focus on growth, learning, and possibility, your brain will start to bring those elements into your awareness. This is not magic. It is selective attention. You have already experienced this many times. The moment you decide that something is important, you begin to notice it everywhere. A car, a style, an idea. It was always there, but your brain was not showing it to you. Now think about what happens when your focus is constantly on problems, fear, and limitation. Your brain becomes trained to find more of the same. It becomes extremely efficient at detecting what is wrong, what is missing, what could go badly. And as this pattern strengthens, your perception of reality becomes narrower and heavier. This is what many people call bad luck, but in reality, it is a trained perception. At the same time, there are individuals who train their brain in the opposite direction. They do not ignore problems, but they do not focus on them as final realities. They look for patterns, for solutions, for leverage. They ask different questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "How can I use this?" or "What is the opportunity here?" And slowly, their brain adapts. It begins to search differently. It begins to connect ideas. It begins to recognize paths that were previously invisible. This is where abundance begins. Not as money, not as material success, but as a way of seeing and interacting with reality. Abundance is the ability to perceive possibility where others see limitation. It is the capacity to remain open, to think creatively, to act despite uncertainty. And this capacity is not something you are born with or without. It is something you build. Neuroscience has shown that the brain is capable of change throughout life. This concept, known as neuroplasticity, explains that the brain can reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. Researchers like Norman Deutsch have demonstrated that repeated thoughts and actions physically reshape the structure of the brain. This means that every time you repeat a thought, you strengthen a pathway. Every time you act in a certain way, you reinforce a pattern. Over time, these patterns become automatic. They define how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. If you repeatedly think in terms of limitation, your brain becomes efficient at limitation. If you repeatedly think in terms of possibility, your brain becomes efficient at possibility. But here is where it becomes even more important. Your identity is built from these patterns. You do not just think certain thoughts. You begin to believe that those thoughts represent who you are. You say things like, "This is just how I am," or "I am not that type of person." And once a belief becomes part of your identity, it becomes much harder to change. Because your brain will protect your identity at all costs. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, you may unconsciously reject opportunities that contradict this identity. You may hesitate at the moment of decision. You may delay action. You may find reasons why something will not work. Not because you are incapable, but because your internal system is trying to remain consistent with who you believe you are. This is why change feels uncomfortable. It is not just about doing something new. It is about becoming someone new. And for the brain, this can feel like a threat. However, this is also where your power begins. Because once you understand that your thoughts are not fixed, that your patterns can change, and that your identity is not permanent, you begin to see a new possibility. You can start to observe your thoughts instead of automatically believing them. You can question patterns instead of repeating them. You can choose actions that align with the person you want to become, even if they feel unfamiliar at first. This is the beginning of conscious direction. It does not happen instantly. It requires repetition. It requires awareness. It requires patience. But with time, the brain adapts. New pathways form. Old patterns weaken. And slowly, your perception of reality begins to shift. You start to notice opportunities you did not see before. You become more comfortable with uncertainty. You take action more easily. You recover from setbacks faster. And as these changes accumulate, your external life begins to reflect your internal transformation. This is how success is built. Not in a single moment, not through one decision, but through the consistent direction of the mind. Right now, your life is the result of everything your brain has learned and repeated until this point. Every belief, every fear, every habit has contributed to where you are today. But this does not define where you will go next. Because from this moment forward, you have a choice. You can continue to let your brain operate on old patterns, recreating the same results. Or you can begin to guide it, to train it, to direct it toward a different outcome. The first step is awareness. The second is intention. And the third is repetition. If you stay in this process, if you continue to observe, adjust, and act, your brain will begin to align with a new reality. A reality where abundance is not something distant, but something you gradually build from within. And this is only the beginning of what you are about to understand. And as you begin to understand this, something important starts to shift inside you. You realize that the problem was never truly outside. It was never just about circumstances, or luck, or timing. It was about the invisible patterns that have been guiding your perception, your reactions, and your decisions without you even noticing. Think about your daily life. From the moment you wake up, your brain is already active, replaying familiar thoughts. It reminds you of responsibilities, of worries, of unfinished tasks. It brings back emotions from yesterday, sometimes even from years ago. And before you even step into the world, your internal state is already influencing how you will experience everything that comes next. If your mind is filled with stress, your day will feel heavy. If your mind is focused on problems, you will find more problems. If your mind is trained to expect limitation, you will unconsciously move in ways that confirm it. This is how deeply the brain shapes reality. But there is something even more subtle happening beneath the surface. Your brain is not only reacting to what is happening now. It is constantly projecting into the future. It creates expectations. It builds scenarios. It anticipates outcomes. And based on these internal projections, it decides how you feel and how you act in the present moment. If your brain expects failure, you will feel hesitation before you even begin. If your brain expects rejection, you will hold back before expressing yourself. If your brain expects difficulty, you will experience resistance before taking action. And over time, these expectations become self-fulfilling. You hesitate and miss opportunities. You hold back and remain unseen. You avoid risk and stay in the same place. And then your brain says, "See? This is how life is. This is the loop that keeps people stuck." But once you see it, you can no longer ignore it. Because now you understand that your thoughts are not neutral. They are instructions. They are signals that guide your attention, your energy, and your behavior. And if you repeat the same instructions every day, you will create the same results. This is why change requires more than motivation. It requires awareness at a deeper level. You must begin to notice not only what you think, but how you think. The tone of your inner voice. The assumptions you make automatically. The conclusions you reach without questioning them. For example, when something does not go as planned, what is your first reaction? Do you think, "This always happens to me"? Or do you think, "What can I learn from this"? That small difference creates two completely different paths. One leads to frustration and stagnation. The other leads to growth and adaptation. And your brain strengthens whichever path you choose more often. There is a concept in psychology known as cognitive conditioning. It explains how repeated mental and emotional responses become automatic over time. Just like physical training shapes the body, mental repetition shapes the brain. If you repeatedly react with fear, avoidance, or doubt, those reactions become your default. If you train yourself to respond with curiosity, resilience, and focus, those become your new patterns. At first, this process feels unnatural. It requires effort. It feels like you are going against your instincts. But this is only because your current instincts are based on old programming. With time, consistency changes everything. The brain begins to recognize new patterns as familiar. What once felt uncomfortable starts to feel normal. What once felt difficult becomes easier. And this is where transformation begins to accelerate. Because now you are no longer fighting your mind. You are working with it. But there is another layer that must be understood if you truly want to direct your brain toward abundance. Emotion. Your brain does not just remember thoughts. It remembers emotions even more strongly. Experiences that carry emotional intensity are stored deeper, and they influence your behavior more powerfully. This is why a single negative experience can shape your mindset for years if it is not processed correctly. If you associate money with stress, conflict, or fear, your brain will try to protect you from it, even if you consciously want more of it. If you associate success with pressure or responsibility, you may unconsciously avoid stepping into it. This is why some people sabotage themselves right when they are close to progress. They start something new, they see potential, they begin to move forward, and suddenly they stop. They lose motivation. They doubt themselves. They delay action. It seems irrational, but it is not. It is the brain trying to return to what feels emotionally safe. To change this, you must begin to create new emotional associations. Instead of linking growth with fear, you begin to connect it with curiosity. Instead of linking effort with struggle, you connect it with progress. Instead of linking risk with danger, you connect it with expansion. This is not something you do once. It is something you build through repeated experience. Every time you take action despite uncertainty, you send a new signal to your brain. Every time you move forward even when it feels uncomfortable, you weaken the old pattern. Every time you prove to yourself that you can handle more, your internal limits begin to expand. And slowly, your definition of what is possible begins to change. At the same time, your focus becomes one of the most powerful tools you have. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy flows, results begin to form. If you constantly focus on what is missing, your mind becomes trained in lack. If you focus on progress, even small progress, your mind becomes trained in growth. This does not mean ignoring reality. It means choosing where to place your attention within that reality. Because in every situation, there are multiple elements. Problems, yes. But also possibilities. Challenges, yes. But also lessons. Limitations, yes. But also openings. Your brain will show you more of what you consistently focus on. This is how people begin to experience completely different lives even in similar conditions. And as this awareness deepens, you begin to realize that abundance is not something you chase. It is something you align with. It is built through the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act consistently over time. It is not instant. It is not effortless. But it is real. And it is available to anyone who is willing to understand their mind and take responsibility for directing it. Right now, you are standing at a point of choice. You can return to old patterns, to automatic thinking, to familiar reactions. Or you can begin to pause, to observe, to redirect. At first, the difference will be small, almost invisible. A different thought here, a different reaction there, a decision to act instead of delay. But over time, these small shifts accumulate. They build momentum. They create new pathways. They reshape your identity. And once your identity changes, your life cannot remain the same. Because you are no longer the same person creating it. This is where real transformation begins, yes, and this is where it goes even deeper. Because up until now, you've started to see how your brain processes reality, how it filters information, how it repeats patterns, and how it protects your current identity. But there is still something even more powerful beneath all of this, something that silently controls most of your life without asking for your permission. Your subconscious programming. From early childhood, before you were able to think critically, your brain was absorbing everything around you. The way people spoke about money, the way they reacted to stress, the beliefs they repeated, the emotions they expressed. You didn't choose these patterns. You inherited them through observation and repetition. If you grew up hearing things like, money is hard to earn, life is a struggle, rich people are different, success is not for people like us, your brain did not question these ideas. It accepted them as truth. And once something is accepted at that level, it becomes part of your internal operating system. Later in life, you may consciously want more. More freedom, more money, more success. But deep inside, there is a conflict. One part of you wants to grow. Another part is holding on to old beliefs that say it is not safe, not possible, or not for you. And this internal conflict creates resistance. You start something, then stop. You feel motivated, then lose energy. You see opportunity, then doubt yourself. This is not lack of discipline. This is misalignment between your conscious desires and your subconscious programming. And your brain will always follow the stronger program. This is why awareness alone is not enough. You can understand everything intellectually and still remain in the same place if the deeper patterns are not addressed. So how do you begin to change something that operates automatically? First, you must slow down. Most people move through life reacting quickly. They think a thought and immediately believe it. They feel an emotion and immediately act on it. There is no space between stimulus and response. But the moment you create even a small pause, everything changes. In that pause, you are no longer controlled. You become the observer. You notice the thought, this is too hard. But instead of accepting it, you question it. You notice the feeling of fear. But instead of avoiding action, you stay present with it. This space is where control begins. And at first, it feels uncomfortable. Because you are interrupting patterns that have been running for years. Your brain will try to pull you back into automatic behavior. It will tell you that this is not necessary, that it is too difficult, that you can go back to what is familiar. But if you stay with the process, something begins to change. You start to recognize your patterns faster. You start to catch yourself in the moment. You start to choose differently. And every time you choose differently, you weaken the old program. At the same time, you must begin to install new patterns. Not just through thinking, but through repetition and experience. Your brain learns through what you repeatedly do and feel. If you want to build a mindset of abundance, you must begin to act in alignment with it, even in small ways. You start making decisions with a different perspective. You begin to take small risks. You invest time and energy into growth instead of only reacting to problems. And most importantly, you begin to trust your ability to adapt. Because one of the deepest fears the brain has is uncertainty. It does not know what will happen. It cannot predict the outcome. And so it tries to keep you where everything is known. But the truth is, growth always exists outside of what is known. Every new level of life requires stepping into something unfamiliar. And the more you do this, the more your brain learns that uncertainty is not danger, it is expansion. This is how confidence is built. Not by waiting to feel ready, but by acting before you feel ready and proving to yourself that you can handle it. And with each step, your internal limits begin to shift. What once felt impossible becomes possible. What once felt uncomfortable becomes normal. What once felt out of reach becomes part of your reality. This is the process of expanding your capacity. And as your capacity expands, so does your ability to receive more opportunities, more responsibility, more success. Because abundance is not only about attracting more. It is about becoming the type of person who can hold more without collapsing back into old patterns. Many people reach a higher level and then lose it. Not because they are not capable, but because their internal system is not yet aligned with that level. Their habits, their beliefs, their emotional patterns pull them back to what is familiar. That is why this work matters. Because it builds stability. It builds a foundation that allows you to grow without constantly returning to where you started. And as you continue this process, you will notice something subtle but powerful. Your relationship with yourself begins to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is controlled by circumstances. You stop identifying with limitation. You begin to trust your ability to think, to adapt, to create. And this trust becomes one of your greatest strengths. Because when you trust yourself, you take action faster. You recover from failure quicker. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You begin to move. And movement creates momentum. Momentum creates results. And results reinforce belief. This is how a new cycle is built. Not a cycle of limitation, but a cycle of growth. And the more you stay consistent in this direction, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, the way you think, the way you act, the way you respond is no longer something you force. It becomes who you are. And when that happens, your external life begins to reflect it in ways that once seemed distant. Opportunities begin to appear. Connections begin to form. Decisions become clearer. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. And this is where most people finally understand something that was always true. Success is not something you chase. It is something you grow into. And the moment you begin to take responsibility for your mind, your patterns, and your direction, you step into that process fully. This is not the end of the journey. This is the point where it truly begins. And now, take a moment and truly reflect on everything you've just heard. Not just as information, but as something that applies directly to your life. Because this is where most people make a mistake. They listen, they understand, they feel inspired for a moment, and then they return to the same patterns. The same thoughts. The same reactions. And slowly, everything fades. But this moment, right now, can be different. Because now you are aware. You can no longer say you don't know why things repeat. You can no longer say you don't understand where your patterns come from. You can no longer ignore the fact that your mind is shaping your reality every single day. And awareness changes everything. From this point forward, every thought you notice becomes a choice. Every reaction you observe becomes an opportunity. Every situation becomes a moment where you can either repeat the past or begin creating something new. This is where responsibility begins. Not as pressure, but as power. Because when you understand that your mind is not fixed, that your identity is not permanent, and that your patterns can be changed, you are no longer limited by what was. You become the one who decides what comes next. But understand this clearly. This is not about becoming perfect. This is not about eliminating fear, doubt, or uncertainty. Those will still exist. The difference is that now, you will not be controlled by them. You will see the doubt and still move forward. You will feel uncertainty and still take action. You will experience discomfort and still grow through it. And this is what separates those who remain the same from those who transform. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move despite it. As you continue this process, you will begin to notice something powerful. Your reactions will slow down. Your thoughts will become clearer. Your decisions will become more intentional. You will no longer rush into old patterns without awareness. You will pause. You will observe. And you will choose. And in those small moments of choice, your future begins to change. Because your life is not built in big dramatic moments. It is built in the small decisions you make every day. The thoughts you repeat. The actions you take. The standards you accept. And when these begin to shift, everything else follows. Your confidence grows, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Your perspective expands, not because problems disappear, but because you see beyond them. Your direction becomes clearer, not because the path is perfect, but because you are no longer standing still. And step by step, you begin to move into a different version of your life. A version where you are no longer reacting, but creating. No longer waiting, but deciding. No longer doubting, but building. This is the foundation of abundance. Not something you chase outside, but something you build inside, through awareness, through repetition, through intentional action. And as this foundation becomes stronger, your external reality begins to align with it. Not instantly, not magically, but inevitably. Because when your mind changes, your behavior changes. When your behavior changes, your results change. And when your results change, your life transforms. So from this moment, carry one simple idea with you. You are not your past patterns. You are not your old beliefs. You are not the limitations you once accepted. You are the one who can observe them, question them, and change them. And that means your future is not something you wait for. It is something you create. This is where your journey begins. And in the next part, you will go even deeper into the subconscious mind, into the hidden programming that has been shaping your decisions since the beginning, and into the exact ways you can start rewriting it. Because once you understand that level, everything changes. Stay with this process. Because what you are building right now is the foundation of a completely new reality. Stay with this channel, because what you've just started is not just information, it's a transformation. If something inside you moved today, don't ignore it. This is your moment to begin. Keep listening, keep learning, and most importantly, start changing. Your new life doesn't start someday, it starts now.